Good morning, everybody. Okay, so I know we've been sitting for a while, and I'm going to do something to shake us up a bit. Are you guys okay with that? So, if everyone could get up just for a minute or so from your seat, take a couple of steps backward or forward, introduce yourself to the first person you meet, or the second person you meet, and just say a warm good morning. Just look the person in the eye and say a warm good morning. Awesome. Okay, thank you for that. So it seems like you guys really needed to get up, huh? Okay, you may be seated. Oh. Okay, so I touched a button and something happened. What happened here? Did I break the internet? Did I just break the internet? Okay, great. Thank you. So, for instructions, am I clicking just wherever and it'll... Okay, it's not moving though. Just want to take care of my technical stuff before I start. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we're just adding like a minute to my time. Is it going now? Okay, so we'll just talk until we get that fixed. So, the reason I did that just now was to kind of shake the air up a little bit and to also kind of have us start relating to each other a little bit, because I bet you most of us walked in this morning and we maybe have said hello to one or two folks, but we didn't really get out of our comfort zone and really introduce ourselves as much as we probably should have. So I just wanted to shake things up a bit. My focus, the work that I do, is on building self-awareness and building relationships. For the bulk of the last, I'd say 12 to 14 years, my work has been with families going through intense relationship issues. At times it was divorce and other court-related issues. And as I worked with these families over years, some of the clients would then return to me, sometimes months after, sometimes years after they had finished their divorce-related work. And they wanted to work with me on building their personal self, meaning working on executive presence, meaning working on self-awareness, learning how to manage relationships outside of the personal sphere. It just so happened that a lot of these folks I worked with were people who were in C-suite level positions. They were directors, they were CEOs, they were financial officers, and they recognized that some of the relationship issues that impact their personal lives were also impacting their work life. And so over time, I found myself doing more and more work with professionals and business people just like you who have figured out that relationship management is critical. But in order for us to get to that place of developing expertise in that area, we first have to master self-management. And the way we do that is first starting with managing emotions. Critical, critical, critical. So, have you ever wondered why work relationships are so hard? Sometimes that's what it feels like, right? If you're in a partnership or a business family situation, I work with a lot of family businesses, and I gotta tell you, the crossover between sibling issues and mother-father issues and brother and sister issues taking hold of the business can have long-lasting severe impact on the business. And can suck the very life force out of your business. So what I'm going to be talking with you all today about is sharing some of my insights based on the research and based on anecdotal evidence as I work with my clients and as I network for my own practice building and understanding just how critical self-management and relationship management are to the success of your business. No matter what kind of business you're in, whether you're a nurse or a doctor or a pharmacist or whatever, relationships are important. So, like my friend behind me, I am tickled pink to share this with you today. As many of you know, most huge businesses today, all across Austin, Texas, the US, and the world, have come to recognize just how critical emotional intelligence is to their bottom line, period. You take a look at C-suite level executives at places like Google and Dell and Apple and all the big companies. They are looking for smart people to fill those positions, right? Would you say that? Absolutely, you've got to know your stuff. But more than ever, they're looking for leaders and workers who are emotionally intelligent. Why? Because relationships matter. And the winners today, we're seeing, the winners are people who are able to manage their emotions effectively and thereby manage relationships more effectively. So we're going to be talking about emotional intelligence. We're going to be talking about self-awareness, because that's the critical piece with that. And it's a secret weapon to being successful as a business owner. I'm passionate about supporting small business owners and entrepreneurs because that's kind of that's part of my family. My husband is a brilliant techie fellow who about 12 years ago got bitten by the entrepreneurial bug and has done really well for himself. And I have been privileged to be a mentor for a group of small business folks through IC² Incubator at UT. And as I've worked with these individuals and see just a conversation about presence, and when someone is able to understand what you mean by that and then incorporate that understanding in their behavior and to see the change. For example, last summer, a young man who owns a lawn care company was pitching in front of a group. And the first time I saw him, he walked up, he was a bit timid, his shoulders were a bit curved, his speech was a bit muffled. And can you imagine the kind of connection that he must have had with the audience with that, right? Would that take away or would that add to his presentation? Take away, right? And so after he presented, I had a conversation with him. And it didn't last for more than about 10 minutes or so. I complimented him on the hard work he was doing and the growth his company was experiencing. And then I said to him, are you open to a little information that could help you dramatically in presenting yourself in a much more powerful way as a business person? And he said, absolutely. And so I shared with him about presence. I asked him the question, I said, how do you want to change the space when you walk into the room as a business person? And he looked at me and I said, what do you want people to see, think, and feel when you walk into the space? And he said, I want them to see a successful businessman. And I said, what would that look like? Well, he thought for a while and said, help me with that. And I said, well, first of all, you want to walk in almost as if you own the space. So you pull your shoulders back. Doesn't take much to do that. Step as if you mean it. Look folks in the eye. Shake your hands powerfully. And speak literally from all the way down here so folks can hear you well. Well, he took my advice. A couple of months later, they had to pitch again based on the support they were getting from individuals just like myself who were giving them advice about building their business. When it was his turn, he walked up to the podium, took the mic, and this person emerged who shifted the air in the room. Why? He had presence. You could feel and see the level of his emotional intelligence had grown. So that's some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today. Again, no matter what profession you're in, we've got to relate to people. Is that fair? You've got to relate to your employees. You've got to relate to your customers. You've got to relate to people in your network. We simply cannot get around it. We have got to relate to others. And we are way more effective in communicating, in interacting, in managing our customer service when our level of emotional intelligence supports that. So how do we do that? We're going to be talking about that. So what happens when the relationships in our workplace aren't working well? Well, we walk around not even realizing that we're dragging heavy weight with us. We're trying to figure out what's going on, why revenues are down, why things are not working well, but we're not able to figure it out until we are able to identify what the problem is. We may notice revenues are down, testimonials are down, inquiries are down, complaints are up, phones not ringing, increased turnover, defections, power struggle, you name it. As business people, we see all these things, and we may attribute it to, well, there's so much competition, or I'm just having a bad year because of X, Y, Z. But sometimes we've got to pause and take a closer look to what's happening right in front of us. What's happening with me as an individual? How am I showing up at work? How am I showing up with my business partners, with my colleagues? The not so obvious things are the things that are going on relationally. So I have the opportunity to work with a number of small business groups in town, particularly law firms and financial groups, and some tech guys as well. And as we talk, they're noticing a lot of these things. As they're investigating closer, folks, small slights are going on. Folks are not meeting for lunch as often in the cafeteria as they did before. People will see things happening and they know it doesn't fit in with the culture of the organization, but they're not talking about it. All these things are popping up. They're feeling overwhelmed, diminished energy for work, lack of excitement around work and life. And we wonder what's going on. Well, it could be because of money issues or something like that, but we now know from research without a shadow of a doubt that when we see these signs in our company, and I'm telling you too, in your personal lives, when you see these, there's something else going on that we've got to look at. We notice a theme. It's all about the relationships. And if we dig further at what really supports healthy relationships, it's all about how we manage emotions. When we talk about emotions, what do we normally think about first? Somebody throw something out. What do we normally think about when we think about emotions? Fear, happy, anger. Anything else? We think about a lot of this stuff, right? A lot of folks will say, well, you know, I manage my anger well, so I'm good. Yeah, most times I feel happy, I'm good, right? Well, emotions are so much deeper. Emotions manage almost everything about us as a person. And so we're going to delve a little bit deeper into that. So when you size up the whole person, and especially in business, we're thinking about how smart somebody is, right? Whether they're book smart or they're tech smart or they're whatever it is, how smart are they at what they do? Well, that's just a portion of the person as we present ourselves in our work or as we're looking for someone to partner with or we're looking to hire someone. That only explains a little bit about our success. Major companies know that, and we need to know that as well. So when major companies are looking to hire folks, they're looking for folks to be smart. They got to know their stuff, but they're looking for additional stuff. We're going to talk about that. They're looking for your personality, right? Because that's a part of it as well. So we have the IQ, how smart you are, your personality, how you show up, and then they're looking for your EQ, which is the emotional intelligence. That's a big part of the picture. Now look how much EQ accounts for. Look at the iceberg. Your IQ is just the tip. Your EQ is all of what's down here. This is all about how you manage self, and it shows up in your financial success. This is from a study from Harvard showing that, my values came up, but that should say 15-point-something%, and then the bigger part is your people skill. I'm not sure how that disappeared because it was on until this morning, but 15-point-something% is about how your success. Let me back up a bit. 15% of your success comes from your IQ. The bulk of it comes from your emotional intelligence. That is huge, guys. So what that says to me, and hopefully it says that to you, is that part of your person that has to do with your awareness of self and how you interact with others is critical to the success of your business. Critical. So we're going to go into it a little bit. So what really is it? It's a set of emotional and social skills that collectively establish your emotional and social effectiveness. How well I present myself, how well I interact with others, how I manage the relationships, how we perceive and express ourselves, develop and maintain social relationship, cope with challenges and stressful situations, assess a situation and make decisions. It also has a lot to do with how resilient we are. It truly predicts our success in work and life. Very, very important. Huge piece of that. So just quickly showing you the model. It's a pretty complex concept because there's so many pieces involved: self-perception, self-expression, interpersonal relationship, decision-making. Go figure. Did we know that our emotions were so involved in decision-making? Did we know that our emotions were so involved in stress management? Well, years ago, when a lot of my work was in collaborative law, and I'd be sitting in these big conference room with powerful business folks who were going through complex divorce situation, and they were having to be dividing up huge businesses between wife and husband. And my job was to help the lawyers manage this process predominantly through managing emotions. So I had to watch for cues, spoken and unspoken, about what folks were experiencing, and then use that as a leverage to help work through the negotiations that were taking place. So I would invite folks to tell me what they were feeling. I was way more interested in what they were feeling at any given moment than what they were thinking. The lawyers were more interested in the thinking. I was interested in the feeling, and my job as a facilitator was critical in getting folks past issues that they were stuck on. Why? Because we could utilize the concept and the skills that we have from emotional intelligence to help us push through some of those roadblocks. So this is the model, and I'm pulling just one tiny piece today because we have such a short time to talk about, and that's emotional self-awareness. Why? Because this, we know, is the most powerful piece of the overall model. When we enhance our self-awareness, it allows us to build on all the other components more readily. So as a business person, I would say if there's any piece of the overall emotional intelligence model that you're going to work on, first start with self. Really? Look, the man in the mirror. Start with self and try to figure out the pieces that we need to work on. So, recognizing your feelings and understanding your emotions. When you're irritable, sad, excited, however, how do these affect you? How do they affect your decisions? How do they affect how you show up? How do they affect what you say and do? They do. We no longer question if they affect, we know that they do. And when we are aware of that, we're more likely to take the time to pause for a moment to process a feeling before we react. So I'm going to tell you about a case of mine. So this is a brilliant client of mine. She was a chief financial officer, still is, of a company. And I was working as her executive coach. And she told me the story about something that happened to her. So she came into work one morning. She was very upset. None of her team knew what was going on. She walked into her office, closed the office door, was trying to plow through some work. They had a deadline. It was a Thursday. They had a major deadline for 3 o'clock the next Friday. And everybody was at the grind trying to get stuff done. But she walked in such a foul mood that morning that everyone was distracted. Nobody knew what was going on. Because of the tension that was going on in the company, folks were scared that if they did not deliver that Friday afternoon, that people were going to let go. So can you imagine the tension and the unease and the discomfort that folks must have been feeling? She didn't say what was going on. She didn't share a thing. She wasn't even aware of what she was projecting to her workers. Well, fast forward with the story. What happened is that morning before she came in, her cat that she'd had for 12 years passed away. She was mourning. She was sad. What did she do? She withdrew. No one knew she was going through that. She went into her office. She stayed by herself. She appeared grumpy. This is what her folks told her later on. Was she managing her emotions really well? No, she needed to mourn. Her beloved cat had died. How could she have done this? She perhaps could have shared with a couple of folks, today is a rough day for me. You know, Toby just died and not feeling on top of it, but, you know, we've got to get stuff done. Instead, her emotions overwhelmed her because she was either unaware that she needed to process in a different way or wasn't able to. And so they got thrown off course for that project, and there were financial consequences for that. And she ended up actually coming in for coaching because of not just that issue, but an accumulation of issues that suggested that she needed significant support with managing self and relationships. because that was one of the issues that came up in her company that signaled the fact that relationships were not being managed well, her team was not functioning well because self-management wasn't going on the way it should, and relationship management wasn't going on the way it should. Think about your own businesses or the business you are intending to start pretty soon. What are some things about yourself that you need to start thinking about? How easily do you get triggered? Do you even know your triggers? What do you do when you're feeling angry in a situation, but you're not able to show that anger? How do you process that? How do you manage that? That is critical for managing self and relationship. So we're going to talk quickly about some self-awareness strategies. So one is, if I had more time, I'd love to go further, but because of lack of time, I'm going to go quickly into some strategies that any of us can start using as of today. Quit treating your feelings as if they're good or bad. They're neither. We label them as such, okay? Once we stop being judgmental about how we're feeling and simply label it for what it is. So for example, you're feeling anxious. It's neither good nor bad. You may be stepping up to do a presentation, and anxiety can be a fuel to help you do well. You may be feeling afraid. It's neither good or bad. It might be saying to you, watch out. There's something that you need to be paying attention to. So let's quit treating our feelings as if they're good or bad. They're there for a reason. Observe the ripple effect of your emotions. When you walk into a space, whether it's with your business partner, a coworker, with your spouse or your children, how do you affect the environment? How do you change the air? What kind of effect do you have on folks? Is it a good ripple? Do you turn people off? Do you get folks excited about the project? When something is going well, does your excitement become contagious and cause everyone around you to feel excited as well? What is your ripple effect? Pay attention to that. Lean in rather to your discomfort. We have a way of quite often being uncomfortable with things that we're not used to, or things that feel difficult, or things that others tell us might be difficult. I encourage you to challenge yourself and lean into your discomfort. You're going to learn so much about yourself, so much about your emotions and what they do for you and how they do things for you by sitting in the moment and trying to understand what this discomfort is about, what it's showing you, what it's teaching you. It helps you to see yourself as you really are. Feel your emotions physically. Don't run away from them. So it's anger, so it's sadness. How does that show up? My cheeks may be tight, my shoulders may be stiff, butterflies may be in my stomach. That's telling you something. As a business person, that's your intuition. Listen to it and use it for your benefit. Again, don't be fooled by your bad mood. Sometimes we're feeling bad and, oh, everything is failing. Business is so bad because I'm having a bad day. Don't be fooled by that. Don't be fooled by your good mood either. Or good mood at times may cause us to behave in ways that we wouldn't normally become frivolous, overspend. You might have had a good sale. Okay, so I'm heading off to shop like I've never shopped before. Yeah, some retail therapy is good, but is that the right decision? And are you just going by your mood? So be mindful of that. Know who and what pushes your button. Critical. You're going into a business meeting and there's something about that person's personality that rubs you the wrong way. Be aware of that, know that, prepare yourself for that. So when you go in, you can be the businessman or woman that you need to be, want to be, and intend to be without having yourself triggered because that person is rubbing you the wrong way. And watch yourself like a hawk. If you leave with nothing else, this is a piece I want you to remember. Watch yourself like a hawk. How do I show up? Always be aware of that. How am I thinking? How am I feeling? How is that impacting others? What is that saying to the room that I'm in? Watch yourself like a hawk, so the next time somebody walks over and they're identifying something about you, you're already aware of it because you've been paying attention to yourself. Does that make sense? Okay. Get out of your comfort zone sometimes. Corey mentioned that I do obstacle races. Well, up until about 5 years ago, I didn't like to sweat. I didn't understand it. All these people running around getting all sweaty and yucky. I didn't like it. And now I love it. Let me go back and show you that. I love it. Every few months or so, I'm in some big field running through cow poop, jumping over walls, scaling 12-foot walls, hauling weight through a river. The discomfort has allowed me to grow and has allowed me to understand myself well. So when I work with my clients and I push them, I can let them know that I understand what they're going through and that they're going to be stronger and know themselves better and relate to others better because they're not afraid to test their limits. When you know yourself, you push yourself. When you push yourself, your business grows. When your business grows and things are going well, you are doing better. So go out and make the best of your business through emotional intelligence.